Hello, our project is called Hyper Annotations 2.0 and we are interviewing artists and curators at the Venice Biennale. And I'm here together with Vali Mahlouji, the independent curator, who will speak a little bit about his impression about the Biennale. And maybe to start first, Vali, you could introduce yourself and tell a little bit about your practice.
I've been focusing in the last 10 years on art and trauma, so areas of culture and art that have been exposed to trauma and erasure. And generally is an excavation of the recent past, so it's dealing with the last 30, 40 years. It doesn't really touch colonialism. It's more to do with experiences that are personal to me, coming from Iran, whereby there's been a lot of aggression and violence, which also has been reflected in areas of culture in the last 40 years in our countries. So I'm doing a project on Syria, I've done several projects on Iran, and I also bring to attention artists who have not received attention. But here at the biennial, I have several friends, so I'm a bit biased, but I really think that the attention to women artists, I really think it's worked, because I've seen quite a lot of good work that I don't know if I would have seen otherwise, especially in the main part of the biennial exhibition, the curated part. And I can say quite a bit about a few of the pavilions that I have enjoyed, if you think that's a good idea.
Yes, of course. Tell us more about how it is to be here. How do you feel here, and maybe your critics about the pavilions that you saw, the artworks that you saw.
I'm going to give only positive critiques.
Okay.
Critiques. Well, it's great to be back after a break and to see some friends. That's always good. I saw Zineb Sedira's first thing, because she's a friend and a colleague from London, and I was honestly totally immersed in the show. What I really liked about it was a very personal sincerity that comes through in this sort of reenactment of sort of sets and stages of her life. So the whole pavilion is like a sort of composite film set, and the film that she's produced is filmed in those various sets, from what I understand. But of course it touches on history and colonial history of Algeria, where her family originates from. But it's really told through a very sincere, open, sort of layered, but not, not kind of detached viewpoint, which is her family. I think what's really interesting in it is that, as serious as the history is, it's a history that she and her family have experienced. So it's told through this matter-of-fact family history, which makes it much more palatable, because it is just there. It's happened, you know. It's not a reading of that history. It's just part of her family history. I think that makes it really, really strong, and it's kind of fresh when you think about decolonial and post-colonial attitudes in art. So I really like that one very much. Sonia Boyce is a British artist that had a special resonance for me also. I wish she was in her own show herself. I think that would have made it quite incredible. But I was really moved by the German pavilion also, where the artist Maria Eichhorn has stripped back the structure and taking it back to the original structure of the pavilion, and showed us effectively mainly what the architectural transformations were during the Nazi regime. And I think that stripping back is really subtle and really powerful.
Vali, you mentioned female artists being present and represented at the Venice Biennale. And I'm curious, how do you find the main topic of the Biennale, the surrealism, as an important topic to speak about feminism and also to speak about contemporary times and recent events.
I had a very quick tour of the curated part of the exhibition. So this is just first impressions, but there were quite a few gems in the exhibition, and I think it might be that the surrealist angle gives an opportunity to explore quite a few female artists who were very active and importantly active during that period, and as offshoots of that period that otherwise have been overlooked. I don't know if there is anything more specific than that, but I think as a broad umbrella, it probably liberates the opportunity to show quite a few of the female artists who have been working during the decades of the 20th century.
In our program, we also explore the ideas of the re-enchantment and the exhaustion as relevant to optimistic and pessimistic position towards in arts and towards the arts. So I'm curious, what do you think about being pessimistic or optimistic, or about art that is pessimistic or optimistic, and which one works better to correspond with the reality?
I'm not sure how art can be pessimistic in my view. I think it could be aggressive, which I think is needed and I think is good. I think it could be violent, which reflects real life, both in fantasy and in reality. Those are good. I don't call those pessimistic. Certainly what we get here, from what I've seen, is a combination of very strong and powerful, sometimes aggressive work, but also very energetically optimistic, if you like. So I'm not feeling a conflict between the two. I haven't felt anything pessimistic so far, but aggressive I have, yeah. So Latifa Ershach, the Swiss pavilion, has I think a very strong language, and it could be seen as aggressive. And I think the Danish artists, or the Danish pavilion, I thought was very, very powerful, especially in the morning when nobody was there. I was quite moved by that, and I thought it was very blatantly aggressive and directly aggressive, but in a way that I thought was powerful and came together properly. Other than that, I think this notion of a lot of women artists, it certainly brought out a lot of powerful images and a lot of powerful setups and scenarios and installations and immersive spaces. Also quite interesting, honest and sincere kind of aggressive or tensions and aggressions, I find. But this is just a general impression I'm having.
Thank you, Vali, for having the conversation here, and
that was my pleasure.
See you maybe later.
My pleasure. Thank you.